Hello, everyone. We're going to get started here. My name is Fang Hong, and I'm with Full Circle Insights, and I'm with our special guest here, Highspot, and we're doing a webinar for you guys today called Adapting Salesforce for an Account-Based Strategy. Thank you guys so much for your time this morning. Your presenters today are myself, Fang Hong. I'm the Senior Product Marketing Manager here at Full Circle Insights. And we've got Bryant Lau. He's the Digital Marketing Manager at Highspot. How you doing there, Bryant?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Great, great. It's a sunny day here in the San Francisco Bay Area, so hopefully it's great over there for you, Bryant. Okay. So I'm going to be starting off with telling you what today's agenda is so that you get a view of what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to start off with ABM, what the promise is. We all know that we've been hearing about ABM. It's been a hot trend. But I want to go over sort of what we're supposed to get out of ABM. And then I want to go into the requirements and the challenges that actually implementing ABM presents. And then next I'm going to go into adapting your CRM for ABM to make that work for you and how to execute on that and what that looks like when your CRM is ready for ABM. And finally, I'm going to pass it over to Bryant Lau at Highspot, and he's going to be describing in a real-world example how he and his team executed on an account-based strategy. And finally, I'm going to leave some time for Q&A. So just a quick word about who we are at Full Circle Insights and an overview of us as a company. We're a provider of marketing and sales performance measurement solutions, and we provide that inside of Salesforce. So we're a native marketing analytics solution inside of Salesforce that integrates fully with all the popular and top marketing automation systems out there to provide you with marketing analytics. So what's the ABM promise? We all know that with ABM and some sort of targeted way and efficient way of engaging with accounts, you might have a better way of sourcing from top of funnel with that target list of accounts. Next, we might get a better understanding of the account context for all leads from marketing. So call it inbound, or you go to an event, you've got piles of business cards. When engaging with leads, the promise is that we're going to have a better understanding of the account picture of every lead that comes in. And next, with that account context, having the improved engagement with accounts throughout the funnel, whether it's top of the funnel or getting them to accelerate through your funnel and down the pipeline. So having that improved engagement and messaging that's appropriate to your accounts and personalized, that's that big ABM promise there. And then next, more efficient marketing, generating an increase in ROI, using the same dollars and the time and the resources of your personnel, but using it wisely in order to do better engagement, more targeted engagement. Theoretically, that generates an increase in ROI and more efficient marketing. All of this is for the purpose of generating revenue, of course. That revenue growth is highly chased after, and these past few years of ABM, it's been about finding new sources of revenue growth for companies who want to do the best thing they can do with their marketing team, and ABM strategy and tactics is one of those new things. Now, what are the requirements of enacting and executing on ABM? I'm going to split that up into two separate pieces. One is organizational process, and the other is technology. On the left side, let's look at the organizational process. Firstly, you want to identify and define your ideal customer profile for your target accounts. What do they look like? Is it based on geography? Is it based on size? Is the customer profile maybe certain roles and job titles that they have, or certain technologies that they utilize? Something that signifies that they are the ideal customer profile based on certain indicators. And for every company, they're different, those indicators. Secondly, you want to modify your engagement process and messaging. So once you've defined the ideal customer profile and to define that list of target accounts. And you want to make sure that you are being very personalized with that engagement process, but also modifying it such that you are understanding there's an account context to the leads that are moving down your funnel, as opposed to treating each lead as an individual separate from the account. So modifying the process, when I talk about process, I'm talking about sales and marketing. And then finally, on the organizational process, we've got defining ABM success. What does that look like? And then measuring results against those benchmarks or baselines, and then improving upon that so that you can do a next iteration and scale up. On the right side, we've got technology, that other half. One, you want to have a source of account data, company names, addresses, domains, emails, things like that. Having a source of account data is a key piece of connecting the account data to the leads. And that's obviously the second point, which is connecting the leads to the accounts in your database. And John Smith should be attached to a Hewlett-Packard, for example, or an HP, making sure that you're connecting the leads to the accounts. And then next, you want to track account progression down the funnel. So I previously mentioned modifying your engagement process. Here is where you want your technology to track in that defined engagement process and that funnel that you've defined. You want your technology to track that account progression down the funnel in an automated way. Your technology to measure performance across accounts accurately, not leaving any of the leads that you're supposed to attach to the accounts out of your funnel or your performance measurement, but you're actually being comprehensive about how are you performing against your accounts. All right, so this is the type of stuff you want to do. Let's focus in on that technology piece and how that fits in with your organizational process. So seeing how your CRM fits with your ABM strategy execution. So how does it fit in with ABM? Well, what is in your Salesforce CRM? Here's where it fits in. One, your account data and lead data, they're both in your Salesforce CRM. Secondly, your funnel progression. And that marketing to sales handoff, that specific piece right there, is very important in understanding your full funnel. So having that full funnel progression, that's inside your Salesforce CRM. And thirdly, the ultimate deal closing at the end, as well as the revenue data, tying that revenue back to your funnel activities, your marketing campaigns, that's in your Salesforce CRM. And while marketing automation is the engagement layer, what's important for that funnel progression and that marketing to sales handoff specifically as well is that your CRM should be the single source of truth, because it has that revenue data, the deal closing, the funnel progression, that handoff between marketing and sales, so that you understand and track the progression of leads and accounts down your funnel. And when you measure your performance, you can go back and use your CRM as your single source of truth in order to do attribution and things like that. Now, if we know how your CRM fits with ABM, what are some of the challenges that might arise from trying to use Salesforce by default for ABM? Well, here's one. The main one is that you've got your leads, which are your prospects. These are your individuals here who are prospects for you, and they come from different marketing campaigns, sales prospects, things like that. And they are part of the pre-opportunity database, if you will, a set of individuals that you meet at events and things like that, and they are part of the pre-opportunity set of individuals and leads. But on the right side, you've got post-opportunity, those that are in your pipeline, and that you create an account and a contact out of, and you create an opportunity with a dollar amount attached to it. So you've got that left side, you've got that right side, and Salesforce by default makes it a little difficult to have that full picture as leads progress down the funnel. And so connecting Salesforce leads to accounts, that requires a lot of data maintenance that usually is pretty manual. And you can forego that for productivity especially if you don't have the resources to go doing manual data work. But that sacrifices accuracy, and potentially you're leaving piles of leads out in the dark, whether it's from the engagement aspect of it or even the measurement aspect of it. Both of those aspects, and that hurts your ability to actually go ahead and prospect. So in deciding choosing between accuracy and productivity, the solution that we at Full Circle Insights we would always push for is technology and some automated way of doing things. So adapting your CRM for ABM, our solution is to make sure that you adapt the technology and optimize your investment in Salesforce by utilizing some sort of automation. So basically utilizing lead to account matching to automate the process, as is depicted in the diagram below. You want to connect your leads to your accounts and contacts so that that pre-opportunity set of individuals are connected to the post-opportunity, and you have a full view of your funnel. And so that second point is getting full funnel visibility by adapting the default Salesforce for ABM using lead to account matching. And with that connection between the two sets, you can track account performance comprehensively inside of Salesforce, which again should be your single source of truth. Now, what does Salesforce ABM readiness actually look like if you connect the dots? What's it look like? We've got a screenshot right here. And so firstly, what it looks like is your leads are actually matched to the account. So you see this Quinn Crane person here highlighted, working for AMD, should be matched to the account. And you can see AMD spelled in different ways, as this example shows. Next, what it looks like is leads are assigned to the right sales owner. So this John SDR person is assigned to the AMD lead. So Byron, Kelly, and Martina, they're assigned to John SDR. So with lead to account matching, Salesforce looks like this. It looks like your leads are actually assigned to the right sales owner. And then finally, with Salesforce ABM readiness, you're able to have a comprehensive view of your account health at your fingertips. So you've got, in one summary view, a list of accounts, and per account. In this example, you've got account activity rating on the specific account view right here in account detail. But in one summary view, you should be able to view your engagement activity with your accounts and be able to report on that and see which ones are top of the pile. We have here average and excellent, but you should be able to pursue ones that you see in a summary view and have a comprehensive view of your account health. So now I've told you and laid the foundation for what the gaps might be within your Salesforce and how you want to pursue ABM and execute your ABM strategy. I wanted to pass it over to Brian Lau at Highspot to describe his experience with Highspot in engaging and executing in that account-based strategy. Brian?
Great, thank you, Feng. That was a lot of awesome information. Well, hello everyone. My name is Brian Lau, and for the majority of my career, I've had a focus on really one problem. That's how do we drive company growth? Now, most recently, I've tackled this problem with my current company, Highspot, which provides a sales enablement platform that sales reps love to use. But for today's presentation, I'd like to share how we adopted an account-based strategy to drive company growth. Now, I think of our account-based strategy along the lines of the account-based everything moniker. In this sense, we started our account-based journey probably back in August of 2016, and that was with the creation of our account development team. This was a relatively new role to the company and is specifically focused on qualifying individual accounts. This function is similar to like an SDR or BDR role that you may have at your company. Now, once this function was up and running, we decided to focus our efforts on more traditional marketing channels. This is where we currently are, and we'll be launching many of these efforts here shortly. We decided to start with the sales development team as we thought it would have a much better return on investment overall, initially at least, but also provide valuable insights for our marketing teams so that we had a little bit more information to go on when we start to scale these efforts through typical marketing channels. Now, once this is launched, we will move on to our customer services team as well to make sure we truly do have an entire company that's focused on an account-based strategy. Now, adopting an account-based strategy makes sense for many reasons, but I'm not here to tell you why you should adopt one. Rather, I'd like to go into some detail about the challenges you might face when adapting Salesforce to work for an account-based strategy. From a high level, an account-based strategy requires us to determine which accounts to work, which people in these accounts we should target, and then how do we market to them with highly targeted engagement. Underneath all of this needs to be a foundational layer of analytics to help us drive growth through each stage. This is far easier said than done, so let me show you how we address some of these challenges at Highspot. To build our list of accounts, we decided to work with a couple different data providers, but also employed an offshore data entry team. This was partly due to the need to validate some of the information we got from list providers, but also to gather additional information about the accounts that we thought might indicate a higher likelihood of success. Once this information was gathered, we imported it all into our database for our team to leverage. This list was initially focused on tech providers and really has become the basis for our account-based strategy. Next, we decided to create a funnel to measure the progression of individual accounts through the sales process. These changes to Salesforce included the addition of an account status field that you can see here on the screen, as well as a set of fields that date stamped an account as it moved through the funnel. These were subsequently populated via a set of workflows in Salesforce as the account status progressed. With this in place, I'm now able to accurately report on our account funnel conversion rates and also run a statistical analysis on qualified accounts to know the characteristics of which accounts convert better than others. This puts us in a more educated position for account selection, and it helps us make sure that the accounts our ADRs are working are really the best accounts for them to be working right now. That covers the account side of things. So I'd like to address how we manage the contacts within these accounts. For our contacts, we have a best practice of defining our buyer personas and building a complete database of those contacts for our accounts. The discussion of defining your buyer personas could be an entire webinar on its own, so I won't focus on that. But I can provide some insight on how we built our database at Highspot. One of the first questions you might have to address is whether the new names going into your database should be entered as leads or contacts, which is really part of a broader question of whether your sales team works out of leads or contacts. For many people, this might be a difficult question to address because Salesforce and their entire ecosystem have kind of assumed that leads are unqualified and contacts are qualified. But in an account-based strategy, it's very difficult to maintain this convention. In an account-based strategy, it's far more natural to assume that the difference between leads and contacts really has no representation of the buyer journey and is rather a technical difference of whether someone has been associated to an account or not. This allows us to view the database from an account perspective rather than a lead perspective. To overcome this technical challenge, it's imperative to implement a lead-to-account matching solution like Matchmaker. This tool uses customizable matching rules to decide when a lead should match to a given account. By having these in place, our systems and analytics no longer need to differentiate between leads or contacts, as I can now mimic the behavior I see on contacts for leads. This creates a database of people records that truly is account-based. With Matchmaker in place, we were able to start doing some really cool things with our database. First of all, it saved an incredible amount of time for our sales team. They no longer had to search the leads table for any records related to an account. They are working. And when you have a team of salespeople working hundreds of accounts, you can see how this adds up to a significant amount of time being lost to processes when really that time should be spent on actual selling activities. The other impact it had was on our analytics. Having already defined our buyer personas on the lead or contact level, I was then able to do a roll-up to the account level to see if I have all of the key buyer personas in our database for that given account. This allows us to identify gaps in our database and target accounts intelligently. An additional benefit is a feature called Account Activity Rating, and this feature allows us to identify which accounts have the most activity regardless if the people are leads or contacts. Again, this allows us to intelligently target individual accounts based off of their buyer behavior. So here again, on the next slide, we have another best practice that makes a lot of sense in concept, but can be difficult to implement. In this case, we want to now leverage the work we did at the account and contact level to really target individual buyers with relevant messaging. In this example, we can see how our efforts to target individual campaigns can be put to work. As I'm sure we have all been guilty of, it'd be very easy to send one email to a large list. But with our new account-based set of tools, we now have the capability to target individual accounts and the people within them. In this screenshot, you can see an example of a more targeted account-based selection criteria. Here, we're selecting not only the prospects in our database, but also accounts that have a certain number of employees and are a certain buyer persona. We can have confidence in this data as it is all based on the list of accounts that we originally imported. All right, so let's say we ran this campaign and now we want to report on it. How do I now report on my account-based marketing initiatives? Well, there are a few unique challenges we have to first address. One, in an account world, you have a set number of contacts to work with. Thus, we need a model that can account for multiple sales engagements. Second, we ideally would be able to report on both leads and contacts, which can be quite challenging in Salesforce. And lastly, the reports would ideally be real-time and report across the entire funnel. On the right of your screen, you can see a report run using full circle response management that does just that. This empowers us as a marketing team to know which mix of programs result in the best sales engagements for our sales team and adjust our programs to result in more of those engagements. Now, we also know that in an account-based strategy, there rarely is one single program that ever drives an opportunity. Usually, we're dealing with multiple stakeholders that might have been engaged in a number of ways over the past year or two. So to better account for this fact of an account-based strategy, we need to report on the multiple touches that an account may receive. This is where a multi-touch attribution model is really helpful. In this example, we can see the impact of campaigns on both leads and contacts for any given opportunity. We then have weighted these evenly across all touch points so that an allocation of the opportunity's value can be made to each campaign. This particular report uses fake data, but allows us to see that in this case, retargeting is a more effective use of money as it has generated $713,000 from a $11,000 investment, while roadshows have generated $92,000 in opportunities from a $22,000 investment. This allows us to make more informed and intelligent decisions as to where to allocate investment dollars for our ABM strategy. Hopefully that was a useful use of your time. Feng, I'll hand it back to you.
Thanks, Brian. So all in all, we want you to come away with a few key takeaways. Firstly, I want you to know that you need to understand your ABM needs and align your technology and your organization towards that. Secondly, use lead to account matching technology so that you can gain both accuracy and productivity to scale your ABM. And then finally, measure, as Brian has illustrated. Then you want to optimize to achieve success. Thank you guys so much, and we will take a look at the Q&A now. Feel free to use the questions portion of your panel. See one right here for you, Brian. And if we get cut off, we're definitely going to be answering questions via email as well. So feel free to submit. We'll get to them. Brian, we've got one for you from Elaine. Brian, how did you go about deciding what your target account list was? What was the basis? Geography, size, etc.?
Yeah, so I'd love to say that from day one we had, some statistical model telling us which accounts to go and work, but that's simply not true. We're building towards that, and we're getting the data in the system in place to really start making some of those decisions, and we've had some early results from that already. But at day one, it really is about communication with your sales team. The interesting thing about this is, like, from a sales perspective, they've probably already been kind of thinking in an account-based view anyways, and kind of as a marketing function, we're catching up a little bit in that regards. But it's great to just really talk to the sales team, understand what they would consider an ideal customer, and I often phrase the question to them, if I could just magically make a prospect appear in front of you, what would the person look like? And, obviously in terms of, like, buying signal and account demographics. And then I would just kind of condense that information from a couple different salespeople to really get a general idea of what is the right target accounts that we should really start building towards on day one.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and yeah, we believe in, at Full Circle Insights, we believe in starting small as well, and then scaling from there. We believe in iterating. So yeah, no, totally in agreement there. I think we've got time for one more. I want to make sure that we get at the top of the hour here. One from Peter. What is the account score you used? You rated them excellent, and I think, yeah, that's the slide that I used that showed the account activity ratings. The question is, what is the account score you used, and you rated them excellent and average? So I showed a screenshot of that, and that's in Full Circle Matchmaker. That's based on responses by those leads to campaigns. So responses to campaigns of the matched leads in the account. I happen to name those ratings excellent and average. Specifically with Matchmaker, you can choose the names. That's something that's within Matchmaker, that you can choose the names. You can customize the number of responses, other things like, well, like what campaign types to exclude so that you don't count the responses to those campaign types in the account activity rating. And I can tell you more about that, Peter, afterwards, but that's a good question. Sort of what is an excellent account? What is an average account? So yeah, definitely. I think we are out of time, but we're definitely going to make sure that we get to all of your questions. Thank you so much, Bryant. Really appreciate time in elaborating the Highspot story. And thank you guys for joining the webinar. Bye-bye.
All right. Have a great one.